What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? We back. This is Wholesale Hardknocks. I don't even know what episode we're on yet, but today, y'all, me and Mike are here to talk about how to get your first deal. I have so many people, and I'm sure Mike has even more people hitting him up every single day asking, Daryl, Mike, how do I get my first deal? Right. So
Hmm.
we're gonna talk a little bit about how we both got our first deals and maybe what we would do differently. And we're going to talk about every single way to generate leads and get your very first deal, right? And which way we think is the best, right? So if you guys are on my Instagram right now, make sure you hit that link in my bio, join my YouTube page. Same for Mike. If you guys are on his Instagram, hit that link in his bio. Come to the YouTube. If you guys are on Facebook, join the YouTube. We're talking about everything to get your very first deal. Mike, what's up, brother? How you feeling, man? Happy
What up,
Saturday.
big dog? Happy Saturday. I'm blessed, bro. Um, honestly, that's all I gotta say. God is good.
All the
God is
time,
great.
brother. All the time, brother. So let's get into it, bro. Um, how did you get your first deal, bro?
I got it from cold calling and texting. Not myself, but a virtual assistant cold calling and texting for me. I
Okay.
literally just posted a story, right? Like I woke up this morning just thinking about like, yo, I literally locked up 3 deals in a day yesterday. Like
Sheesh.
in a 24-hour period, I locked up 3 deals. And I'm thinking about it, right? And I'm like, I'm just like thinking back. I don't know why I was thinking about this morning, but I'm just thinking back to like a year and some change ago when I just started and I was bashing my head against the wall, like, yo, this freaking business does not work, right? And I'm like, how the heck does one go from a year and a half ago, not even being able to really generate leads to having the opportunity to lock up 3 deals? I should have actually locked up 4. We messed up one. Like
Did you
I'll
lock
talk about
up?
that
Did you
later.
lock up all three, or did your team lock anything up too?
I locked up all 3,
Okay.
but they were teed up from my team. Like pretty much, my team put it on the little t-ball stand,
Yeah, I
and
love it.
I came in and hit a home run.
I love it, bro.
But yeah, bro, I'm just thinking like, holy crap, it's so crazy how I was gonna
That's
quit. Like, dude, in the beginning, I started my business in December of 2020,
mhm.
and I went from December 2020 to April 2021 um, with literally generating one lead, not generating a deal like or a bunch of leads and then one land into a deal. One lead, like
Sheesh.
somebody that raised their hand and said, "Hey, I would sell my house." Right? I remember going that on that appointment and I didn't know what the heck to do. I lost the deal, and literally another investor got that deal. It was a super high lead. Like they got the house passed down to them, and I should have crushed it if I knew what I knew now. Like I would have got the deal, but so think about that. I think that's like what, a 5 month period of generating one lead and literally spending thousands of dollars in that time frame and only generating one lead. And then all of a sudden I get a virtual assistant and I start generating multiple leads a week, right? And in that time period, probably from April to like the end of May, I had 3 contracts. I just didn't know what the heck to do with them. One was a deal, one was an option contract that wasn't a deal, and one was like a deal that I locked up for a day and realized that it just wasn't a deal, so I backed out.
Bro, what shout out to David. He said you two are bad. I listened to you yesterday making that money. He must have heard you lock up that deal on the nightly dial, bro. Um
Respect, David.
question.
Shout out to David, bro, being a badass, taking action at like 9 o'clock at night on a Friday, bro.
Right. And now up again on a Saturday morning.
Word.
Fire. Respect to David. Shout out to Harvey. Shout out to Olu. Shout out to AG. Everybody in the comments right now. But Mike, were you part of a community at that point? Were you in sub two at that point?
Nah, dog, I was doing this all on my own. So for the first 5 months, I was literally just doing it on my own. And I was trying any and everything. I like hired a guy to do some PPC for me. That's how I generated that lead.
Hmm.
Um, I was driving for dollars. I was sending out mailers. I was just doing a bunch of stuff, honestly, just not
So
consistently and not efficiently and effectively.
what would you say changed? I know we're going to skip a whole lot, like a huge process that you went through and just like trials and tribulations. But what do you think was the biggest change that you made from the time where you were getting one lead and getting contracts, no deals, to locking up 3 deals in one day?
Um, Definitely, I would say a community for sure. Like community changed. I instead of having maybe a few people to plug into in the real estate world, I now have too many people. Like I don't even know who to reach out to. I have an opportunity, I need a problem, I don't even know who to reach out to because I have so many people to reach out to.
For
Now
sure.
that I'm in a community, it's a freaking great problem to have. But I'll tell you, in April, right, I hired my first virtual assistant. I still wasn't in a community. Or I still didn't have any mentors or anything like that up to that point. But the virtual assistant knew what she was doing. Like she's generated leads before. She was in a business for like 2 years before I met her. So she already knew, like at this point, bro, um, I didn't even know about a dialer. I didn't know about, a CRM or anything. So my virtual assistant was the one that went out and told me, hey, Mike, we need to go get Mojo. We need to get Podio. We need to do all these things. I'm like, okay, great. And she kind of just like helped me out with it. And literally in the first week, she started generating leads. So it was her, bro. And she's with
That's
me.
actually funny, bro. This is just a side note, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have a good virtual assistant, you pretty much work for them. Like you
On
pretty much
dog.
work for them, bro. They're on it. They're on it. So I got a VA like that now, and it's awesome, bro. It's
It's the
definitely awesome.
best, bro. Like literally, Karen, that's her name. I'm so proud of her, bro. She teed up an opportunity for me. How crazy is this, Daryl? Karen, right?
I know Karen.
Yeah, she's actually in your sales training, bro.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I tell her a week ago she's becoming an acquisition manager, like literally locking up deals. This is her job now. She's
Right.
Her job is going to be locking up deals, and she's in the process of becoming an acquisition manager. And I tell her, I'm like, hey, so just to give you an understanding, when a lead gets kicked up from lead manager, it's now a new acquisition lead. Like it goes through our Sandler selling process at that point, right? And I'm like, hey, before we get you on those leads that get kicked up to acquisitions, I want you to just go in our system. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but you have access to every single lead in our system. I want you to just go in the system and create an opportunity for me to go on an appointment and lock up. And literally, she did that in the first 3 days. Like literally, she put me on an appointment. I think it was for yesterday. Yeah. Oh no, the night before yesterday, and I locked up the deal. This is a virtual assistant in the Philippines. That's how resourceful she can be, but it's because of the culture in our business. That's really what it is, and that's what allowed us to do that. But what I'm saying is, once I had that virtual assistant, she started generating me leads. I started getting some traction. I just didn't know what to do, so I went, from April to about June with no deal sold or whatever with this virtual assistant. I thought the problem was leads, so I hired some more. Come to find out, it was not leads, it was just my conversion problem. And that's where Daryl's getting to. What changed? And what changed is, one, mentorship, like really understanding how to do sales and how to do this business. But two, a community. Like, right? Like once I had opportunities that I needed to get across the finish line, I needed somebody to help me with those. So that's what changed.
That's insane, bro. So let's get into it, bro. Tell me about your first deal, bro. Your first deal ever.
Okay, so my first deal ever. This is funny. I went on this appointment like right when I got a virtual assistant. She was crushing it. She was generating me good leads without me really knowing what the heck to do. But I go on this appointment, right? This is back in like April when she first started. I go on the appointment. The guy wasn't ready to sell his house yet, but I'm just super excited. I'm like, oh, this is somebody that wants to sell their house. Let me just go on the appointment. I went on the appointment, walked it, and he's like, hey, yeah, I'm not really ready to make a decision yet because I'm waiting to get into assisted living. His name was Jim. So I'm like, Jim, can you just do me a favor and I got this from, funny enough, Bigger Pockets. Like there was a Bigger Pockets episode that I was listening to, and this one line literally got me this deal. I said, "Hey Jim, can you do me a favor? Can you please make sure that you give me the last shot? Like, can we just have some sort of upfront agreement together that you give me the last shot?" And he's like, "You know what? I can do that." At this point, I didn't know like scorching Mother Earth, and I didn't know any of these methods. That's all I knew. That's literally all I said. Right. I get a call back while I was in sub 2. It was probably like the first 3 weeks of me being in sub 2. And now I start learning sales, and I get a call back from Jim, and he's like, "Hey, Mike, I just got approved for assisted living." I'm like, "Okay, I'll be right over." I went over and locked him up. And that was my first deal. But dude, who knows if I would have locked that deal up?
Because he called you.
Yeah, he called me. But when I went on that appointment, I had to get a super, super price reduction. And I don't think I would have got that price reduction if I wasn't learning sales for the first 3 weeks in sub 2.
That's insane, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. You must have built really good rapport with him for him to call you back too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've always been a sales guy. Like I've always been personable and talking to people. I've always been in those types of industries. But I didn't know how to negotiate or close or anything like that. Like that's different. Like, yeah, it's cool. You can build rapport and you can make connections. That's just like a personality thing. But when it comes to getting deals done and getting price reductions and negotiating, bro, that's a freaking skill that you got to go learn. Like, dude, look what happened on the nightly dial last night. Literally step by step by step. Munif texted me after that, and he's like, "Bro, literally 2 minutes worth of work made you $5,000.
Facts.
2 minutes.
Facts.
Dude, that's crazy. Facts. That is freaking bananas.
And what that showed me last night too was like, bro, never stop learning, right? Never stop learning. I think we should tell that story as well. I think I don't want to get away from your first deal yet, but I want you to tell that story about last night for people who weren't in the nightly dial. That was an amazing moment. An amazing moment.
It really was.
But your first deal, so I'll go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying your first deal, right? You had a VA that was cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
She sent you a lead. You went on the appointment, told the guy, "Let me be your last chance," right? Or I forget what you said, what words you used, but you pretty much told him, "Give me a call when you're ready to move forward," right? Mm-hmm. Would you do anything differently on that, like now?
Yeah, dog. I would have got an even bigger price reduction.
I love it.
No, to be honest, probably what I would do now if I got that opportunity across my desk today, I would have got it locked up when I went on the appointment the first time.
Yeah.
With it contingent upon him getting approval for what's it called.
How many leads? So you had a VA that was cold calling. How many leads did you talk to before you got that deal? Do you remember that?
I have no idea.
Was it a lot? Like, did you hear a lot of people just throwing houses at you saying, "Here, take my house"?
Yeah, bro. The office that I'm in right now, this is where I built my business out of. It's just literally, there's not even a window in here, dog. Like, it's just a box. It's just a room. And I've built my business from this little box. And I can remember starting in the beginning, sitting in this office and just calling sellers and getting nothing done in my head and almost contemplating like, yo, this shit does not work. Really what was happening, though, was I was just stacking skill sets. And we were talking on the nightly dial a lot last night of understanding what's going to happen in the sale. And that's what you're doing when you're talking to so many people. You start foreseeing what's going to happen. Like literally, I can see now, and that's what's great about yesterday. Like I'm still learning, you know. So as these opportunities keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, you have an opportunity to learn. So that next time that same opportunity, the type of opportunity comes to you, you know exactly what you're doing, and you're just doing that over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, Daniel Quijano, I was talking to him yesterday. I'm like, bro, you've literally been a sales guy, like talking on the phones or on the floor or something like that for 10 plus years now. You've had to see like every single freaking situation. Like you should know by now, literally any and everything that's going to happen in a sales situation. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that is so dope. Like, I'm feeling that now. I'm only in the game like a year and a half.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I go on the call last night and I realized, like, holy crap, Munif gave me some sauce, bro, that, like, I'm not even close. So I can't wait to see what the next 10 years looks like.
I love it, bro.
So
So so just trying to paint the picture for somebody who wants to get their first deal, right? And they want to get it how Mike got his first deal, right? Hiring a virtual assistant, right? Um, have them cold call. You do the follow ups. You go on appointments and do everything else, right? What type of budget do you think somebody needs to get into the game like that? Because there were questions that I think right before we got on here, before we started shooting, you asked me. You said there were three questions everybody should ask themselves before getting into real estate and wholesaling and trying to get their first deal. You want to talk a little bit about?
why don't we go over your first deal and then kind of break down what it would look like for somebody going to get their first deal in a couple different strategies.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
let's do it. Let's do it. So my first
So,
deal was
yeah.
it was the same marketing channel, right? We're cold calling, right? But I was the one doing the cold calling. So again, this is my very first deal was I wholesaled my mom's house, but I'm not gonna count that one because I didn't do any marketing. It was just my mom, right? I just learned on YouTube. Now my very first deal that I got from marketing, from cold marketing, um, I was cold calling, right? So I would wake up, and I was heavy on like Brent Daniels, right? Watching Brent Daniels TTP on YouTube, and all I know is I got a cold call. I got to talk to people, right? I got to talk to people on the phone. Um, so every morning, and yo, before I got my first deal and even had an opportunity to get my first deal, I had to change my mindset first, right? That was the very first thing. That's why I don't know if you guys noticed, but our very first episode is on mindset, right? It's the very first thing you need to change before you get your first deal, right? Or consistent deals, right? Whatever, right? Getting into this game, you need to change your mindset first, right? So I started waking up early, going to sleep early. I went to sleep. I was going to sleep late, just filling my mind though with something to learn, right? With knowledge or something positive, right? When before I'm up playing freaking GTA, Madden, all this dumb stuff throughout the night, right? Just filling my brain with stupid stuff, right? So first thing I turn that light on, right? I start getting hungry and addicted to learning, right? And just filling my mind with positivity, right? So that was number one. That was the first thing I had to do. Second was cold calling, right? All I knew was remember all I knew I had to do was call. I didn't have any money at the time, right? So I got a list. I had enough to. I started off doing free skip tracing, right? So I was driving for dollars. Got a driving for dollars list. Skip traced it for free, right? It was one of Max Maxwell's skip tracing sites. It was free. I forget what it was called.
REI Skip.
I think it's REI Skip. Yeah, use
That's
REI
what I used
Skip.
to use.
Yeah, it was free. So I was hand dialing at this point, right? So literally taking my phone. I had a list of numbers that I got from REI Skip that I wrote down. Like I put an address in one by one, wrote it down. I probably had like 50 to 100 driving for dollars properties, not a lot at all, right? Literally taking this phone and just calling them, right, one by one. Now, if you guys know anything about skip tracing doesn't always give you the correct number the first time, right? They give you 6 to 7 phone numbers that they could be the relatives, it could be nobody somebody who has no clue who this person is, or it could be that person, right? Especially using a free skip tracing site, you have no clue what you're getting, right? So I'm going down the line, just calling all these numbers, waking up early, calling all these numbers before I go to work, right? I'm like, something's got to give. I gotta move faster than this, right? Like I wasn't getting any traction really, just hand dialing. I was hand dialing and texting. I had a couple leads, right, but it's moving too slow. So I had a job at the moment. Very next paycheck, I got a dialer, right? I got a dialer and I got a texting service. I was using Batch for the dialer, Mojo for phone calls, and now in the mornings before I go to work, cold calling 3 hours a day, right? same like you, Mike. No clue what a CRM is. No clue what a CRM is, and didn't even care. Right? I just wanted to talk to people. I had
Mm.
3 different notebooks. I had one notebook for skip tracing that I had the numbers in there. I had one notebook for like people who answered the phone, and then another notebook for leads and following up. Right. So I had 3 notebooks, 3 little yellow notebooks that I had that I just kept. I came across one the other day when I like last month when I moved out here, and it was actually pretty crazy. But start off with that, right? I would, I got a dialer, so now I'm actually getting traction, right? If you guys don't know what a dialer is, it's a system that allows you to make 3 phone calls at one time, right? Shout out to a Baron Art, man. Hand dialer here. You're a grinder, bro. You're a grinder. Remember that, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah, he's a gangster.
you're a dog because not many people will even they won't hand dial. They're too lazy to hand dial. So you're a dog, bro. Keep doing it until you can afford a dollar, right?
Dude, I was
Um,
hand dialing like a year ago. Literally, even when I had all my systems in place, even when I had a dialer,
yeah, bro.
like I was doing lead management through hand dialing.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to track my
So was
KPIs.
I.
I used to go to my call logs and be like, okay, I had boom, 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 that many conversations today.
Yeah. So
Literally,
was I, bro.
yeah.
So was I. I was freaking record. I have a laptop. I have a good laptop. That was like one of my first investments. But it got to a point where I was recording my calls with GarageBand and this mic. Like I would just GarageBand and recording my calls, bro. Like you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But anyway, so I get a dialer, right? And now I'm pumping through leads, right? I'm getting leads fast. Um, so I got a dialer, and I also at work when I'm at work, I almost got fired for this because I worked on a computer, right? So what do? I download a VPN and I'm on batch leads all day, right? Just texting, sending out 1,000 texts a day, right? Doing the bare minimum at work, just enough to not get fired, and just straight texting, right? Um, when I
Can we
get
talk about that really quick?
yeah,
Can we talk about like some people like I don't know, I don't really want to work a job, but like I might quit my job in order to do this business. Yo, if you really think about it, why not get some bullshit job like shit working at a gas station or something like that where you literally can just text blast while you're working
yeah.
to pay the
As long as
bills, work the
what I
job.
would say though, what I will say, bro,
Hmm.
looking back at it, I would have been a better employee. I would have been a better employee just because I know now, right? Just because I know now, like just being a business owner and having employees, it sucks when you have a shitty employee, right? So I would have been a better employee for sure.
That's
Right?
facts. I like
But
that.
still, I would still be texting on the job. I don't care about that. I would still be texting on the job. I would just be doing more work, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but no, that's a great point though. Like people make excuses because they're at work. Half of the time when they're at work, people don't really even have to work. Their work isn't work, right? So you can do this business while you're at work, literally. A Baron Ant says, does the VPN help against getting sued? No, the VPN was so I didn't get caught by the managers because they had access to what we were on in the internet.
Oh, man, you are a scammer, bro.
Yeah, that was camera activity for sure. But so that's what I did, right? Like, and what I was doing was, what I probably could have done to be a better employee at the same time was squatted up with somebody and said, hey, when I get like a lead, somebody calls me, give them a call,
Yeah.
get the 4 pillars, see if they're interested. But what I was doing was, I get somebody who responded to a text, I go to the bathroom and then I make a call, right? So I was going to the
The
bathroom,
manager's like, Dad, what you been eating, dog?
bro, right, exactly. And the crazy thing, I was working in a lab, right? So if you know anything about a lab, you have all this protective gear. You have gloves, you have a lab coat, you have goggles, you have a face mask, you have literally everything. So I had to undress everything. You have to do it the right way because if you don't, people get sick. You get
Yo,
sick.
that's crazy.
So I was out there moving, bro, going out making calls. And that's just what I was doing, bro, because I knew that it was I knew for a fact that this is what I was supposed to be doing, right? So I get my first lead. It sucks I forget her name. Um, damn, I'm mad I forget her name. I think it's like Lisa or something like that, right? So Lisa, she had a property that she inherited the property years ago, right? She inherited a couple properties from her dad. This one was a rental. There was a cash loan rental. They it was actually a triplex, right? Crazy nice building in Baltimore. It's a triplex. Two of the units were occupied, and we're like so close to getting the deal. And I had no clue what the hell I was doing, right? But I'm negotiating with her. I'm getting her price down. I got her price down a lot, right? And I actually structured a really, really good deal, right? I probably could have made like 60K on my first assignment, but I had no clue what I was doing on the dispo side. That's another story, right? Um, so boom, we're in negotiations, we're talking, right? And mind you, no dialer, no. I mean, I had a dialer at this point, but no CRM, right? Not recording the calls. It's all from my phone, right? No like follow up system. I'm just following up all from paper, right? Looking at my notes. Okay, I need to call Lisa today, right? So I call Lisa. Um, we're like, I sent a contract out, right? She didn't sign because she was going through something. Her dog had just passed away, right? The whole time we're talking, she keeps talking about her dog throughout the conversation, throughout all of our conversations, right? Her dog is sick. I can tell she loves her dog, right? So we get ready. I sent out a contract. She didn't sign because her dog had just passed away, right? So it was a very tough time for her and her family. And me, I couldn't relate, but I had two dogs at the time, right? So I'm like, dang, like if I lost one of my dogs, I'd be sick, right? So I would understand. So I didn't press her out, nothing. Um, and we built really, really good rapport. And this is what like sealed the deal, bro. And this wasn't like me trying to be like I wasn't doing this for the deal. I didn't do what I did for her to sign, right? I truly cared, right? I truly cared about this lady. Like we built good rapport. We were talking for like almost a month, right? Like just about every other day. So she had sent me a picture of her dog before. So I put that thing on a blanket. I got the dog, a picture of the dog on the blanket, sent her the blanket. It was like $30, bro. And she called me the next day when she got it. She called me and was just crying, bro. Like dead ass crying. It was just like, dang, like that is so thoughtful of you. Oh my gosh, blah blah blah. Sign the contract, right? And bro, I had no clue she was gonna sign it. It was like a week because it took like 3 to 4 days for her to get it, right? So we didn't talk in that time. I was giving her some space, and she just called me randomly and was like, "I'm gonna sign the contract." I'm like,
You found
bro,
the bunnies, bro.
found the bunnies, bro. I found the bunnies, um, and it was crazy, right? So a $30 blanket made me $12,000, right?
Holy smokes, bro.
It was crazy. It was crazy. So the dispo side of things, that was a complete different story, right? Like I get a contract, right? Like now it's like, what the freak do I do? Right? I had no clue. So like I was the type of person where if I had a problem, I went to YouTube, figured out what the solution was, and then went and did it. Right. So I'm like, okay, now I need to figure out how to dispo. Everybody kept talking about these Facebook groups, so I literally just posted it in the Facebook group, right? And bro, my phone was blowing up, bro. Like I sold that, bro. I sold that deal in literally an hour of me posting it on the group, sold it, right? And it
You're
and
like,
it
yo, hold on.
right and like I wasn't big before I got into real estate. I wasn't big on sales. I wasn't really big on business. Like I was straight football, right? Football and like I did a couple things, but it wasn't straight. Like I wasn't straight sales, right? I wasn't really hip to like all the really anything sales, right? So when I sold it, I'm like, dang, that was a little fast. Like I'm nice at this, right? But what I didn't what I didn't think was, dang, maybe I've left some money on the table, right?
Right. That's
So
the first thing I thought of.
right, exactly. Me too now, right? But back then, I'm like, hell
You're
no. I
happy to
saw
get it
this.
done, bro.
Right, I'm happy to get bro $12,000. I've never seen $12,000 in my life at that time, bro. Like, so I'm like, all right, cool. Sold it to this dude. He walks it. I meet him at the property. Then he signs the assignment the next day, right? And then he sells the deal, right? Like this is my first time talking to this guy. He's actually one of my good buyers now. But it's just funny. It's just after the deal, right? He hits me up one day. He's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Just chilling." And this guy, he's like 10 years older than me. Right? He's not that much older than me. He's like pretty much one of the guys, right? So he hits me up. He's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Chilling." He's like, "Pull up to this restaurant. Let's go get a beer." I'm like, "I'm gonna drink, but all right, cool, let's go." Um, so we're eating or whatever. He's like, "Yo, you know how much I made on this deal?" I'm like, nah, how much? He's like, bro, literally all I did, and he told me about some crazy stuff that he did where he sold it. He sold a piece of his LLC to some guy as well. So he's still part owner, but he sold a piece of his LLC for a lot of money. And the guy that he sold it to has equity now. But off from the jump, he made like 150,000, bro, just by putting paint down. He painted the walls and put new floors down, bro. On one of the units. In one of the units. I'm sorry. The one unit he put paint floor, and another unit he renovated, but he probably put like 10K into it because it was a studio apartment, right? He's like, yo, all I do is painted, got to put some floors down, got the smoke smell out. I sold it. I made like 150,000. I'm like, bro, no
Holy
way.
smokes, bro.
I'm like, no way, no way. He showed me the HUD and everything, bro. I'm like, no way. I was mad. I was mad but happy at the same time because like, damn, I just learned a whole lot on this. Probably learned $1 million worth of game on this, bro.
That's very similar to my second deal. My
Yeah,
second deal, I should have got probably like $40,000 on the assignment fee, and
yeah, bro.
I realized that like I just didn't understand dispo. I didn't understand that there was a sales part of dispo. You know what I'm saying? There was people out here that legitimately do it.
For
But
sure.
I got an idea. Why don't we call Jim my first deal?
That's awesome. Call him, bro.
You are trying to reach is out of service.
Dang, bro.
I hope it's all good, bro.
What happened to Jim? I hope he's all
Shit.
good, bro.
Number
It's
you are
like, man,
trying to
hope
reach
it's
is
good.
out.
All right, so shoot, let's get into it then, bro. So altogether, I would say for me, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. It definitely cost money to get that deal, right? But it wasn't like a crazy amount, right? It
Hmm.
wasn't a crazy amount. Um, my expenses were I had a dialer, I had I didn't have a CRM at the time. I had and I had a text blast service. That's it. I was paying per text, and I was paying for the texting and the dialer every single month. So I was probably all in. Like it took me like after I got the dialer, it took me like a month to get a deal. Um, so I would say I was all in probably like less than $1,000, bro, for sure. So it's different ways, right? Like you got to ask yourself like, what were the questions you asked, bro? I forgot. I know
So
one of them
here's
sure is where am I at financially, right?
yeah, here's I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen, bro.
Dang,
Dang, three
dude, I
deals in
hope Jim's
2 days.
okay, bro.
I do too.
Like, cause he was. I'll be honest, homeboy was on his way out.
Dang.
All right, let me see.
So while you're doing that, I'm gonna tell the story about what happened last night. It was crazy. So we're on the nightly dial, right? And it was just really interesting because every time so if you guys don't know what the nightly dial is, right? It's something that we do in sub two where Pace, shout out to Pace Morby, he literally dedicates, he pays around like I don't know how much, but he has VAs, he has lists that he calls. His VAs call sellers all day and generate leads just for us to call in the nightly dial and help newer people get plugged in and get used to making calls. Right. So Fridays are the nights that me, Mike, and Olu host. Um, so we had a good turnout last night, and it was crazy because every time we gave somebody advice, we literally watched it be put into action in live time, right? So we tell somebody, okay, I think Femi was in there. Shout out to Femi, he's always watching us, but Femi was in there, and we told Femi like, hey, try to fix your tone a little bit, get a little bit more energy on the phone, smile while you're talking to the seller. Very next call, he does that, right? Instant rapport, he crushed the call, right? And then we got to a point where we start talking about objections, right? We say, how do you overcome objections, right? All the closers up there say we just ignore them, right? We just walk right past them. we end up getting Monif in there. Monif Saza, he came to Nightly Dial to hang out with us, and we asked him the same question, and he's like, "Oh, just ignore him." Right? So we got to the point where like everything that we're talking about is just coming into practice, right? And it's amazing, right? So Mike's on the phone with the realtor, and he's negotiating with her, right? They're like so close, going back and forth over $5,000, right? It got to a point where Mike, he was a bit more excited to get the deal than the realtor was, and she was a good salesperson as well, right? So she's constantly pulling away. She's introducing scarcity, right? She's like, "Oh, well, we got people coming to see it this weekend. I don't know if we can let it sit till Monday." But she said something key that we all caught on to. She's like, "We need to get this done today," right? So Mike's negotiating with her, and he got off the phone, right? I think you said something like, "I really want this deal. We'll override everything for the 205," or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, "Mike, no." He's like, "No." And he says something that I always say. I always tell my team. He didn't say it how I say it, but what I say is you got to be a don't wanter, right? You can never want the deal more than the seller wants to sell it to you, right? You got to be like, you got to be willing to walk away from any deal, from any opportunity, right? Munif brought that up, and Mike knows that, right? Mike knew that, but we all need reminders sometimes, right? So Munif brought it up, and Mike instantly implemented it, right? He told the seller, he's like, "Look," he told the realtor, got back on the phone with her, and he's like, "Look, like, we've been going back and forth, and my lender, we just signed off on it. We just signed another deal, right? So we could wait till Monday. It's not a big deal. I really don't care either way at this point, right? Like, we already signed a deal. If it's there Monday, cool. I'll give you a call. If not, that's fine, right?" Mike, how long did it take for the seller, the realtor, to call you back and say your offer was accepted at 205?
Literally, she called me back like 5 minutes later, and she's like, "Okay, let's just do it at 205."
And she was saying, "Oh my gosh, the seller, she won't take 205. She won't take anything less than 210.
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah blah. I don't even want to take this to her." Saying the most, right? She's trying to get an extra 5K for herself, right? She's not for herself, but she's trying to boost her commission up a little bit. I'm sure the seller been ready to go.
You know what's funny though? Like I honestly wouldn't have been excited if I got that deal done at 210. I don't know what happened. Like, she got in my head, bro. She did.
Yeah.
And that happens.
She was good at what she was a good salesperson, bro.
Yeah, when it's a good salesperson against a good salesperson, like, bro, you can get in each other's head for sure. Yeah. So that's why it's so important to just remember, like, go back to your skill set. Like, think about the call I had before that. Literally before I had that realtor call, I had a call with an actual seller, right? And I locked up that deal. And it was like, yo, I'm stone cold Steve Austin. Like, I'm like, whatever. This is just a walk in the park for me. Like, literally, we were silent on the phone together while he's like looking over the agreement for 3 minutes straight, like just sitting in silence. And we were talking about in the nightly dial, right? We were talking about in the nightly dial how that silence like hurts people, and people are like, "Oh, are they gonna sign it? Hey, are you looking at it? Are you looking at it?" I'm just sitting there like it's a walk in the park. But obviously, I am a way better salesperson than the seller was, right? And then I almost freaking forget who I was when I get in the ring with another good salesperson.
Yeah, bro. It's life though, right? Like when you get exhausted, right? When you get tired, it's easier for you to break your habits or break,
Dude,
what you know.
Yes,
right?
That is so good. And that's really what it was. Like you said, I do know that. Like you heard it in fruition on the first call, exactly what was happening. But the second call, it was literally my third deal of the day. Yeah. And I was just like, I was wiped out, bro. I'll be honest. And I just literally got out of character, which just isn't cool. It's like, bro, that's how people in boxing get knocked out.
It's like football, bro. Like Wholesale Hardknocks on Saturdays, right? Like, why do you think you go so hard at practice, right? Why do you think practice is harder than the games, right? Because they want you to, you need to be able to function while you're tired, right? You need to be able to make decisions while you're tired and get back to the fundamentals, right? That's something that my coaches always say. Like, you're tired, get back to the fundamentals, right? Don't worry about nothing else. Get back to the fundamentals. What's your guard going to do, right? Follow your keys, all that good stuff, right? So when you're tired, it's even more important to remember step by step what you're supposed to do, right?
It was literally talking to the realtor. It was like the last freaking 30 seconds of the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Right. And she almost got me, bro. And I stopped her at the goal line.
You caught a timeout. Put the game plan together and you
I called a timeout. I'm the quarterback. I called the timeout. Munif is like Bill Belichick. I go over to Munif and I'm like, all right, bro, what we got to do?
Exactly. Awesome, bro.
That's why it's important to have people on your team, bro.
I love it. So let's get into it. You got your screen ready to share?
Yeah.
Let's get into leads. How do you get leads? And what do we think the best method is? Start all over. Somebody
see my screen, right?
See your screen, bro.
All right. So let's think about it. There's like these 3 things that you need to like analyze before you go out and you're thinking about starting to take action effectively, right? Because going back to my story, I went the first 5 months with just 1 lead. And the reason being is because I failed to figure out these 3 things. The first thing is your personality. This is who you are, like your personality. What gets you excited in life, right? This is like Daryll, give me some types of personalities in real estate.
Bro, it's actually crazy because I hear myself twice. Forget. So it's actually crazy because in my sales training, right? And I had your team actually do this. I don't know if they did it, but I make them take a DISC personality test, right? There's 4 different personalities for everybody. And I want everybody to understand what your personality type is. When you understand who you are, you can communicate with people much better, right? So there's 4 different personality types. You have dominance, which is red, right? These are people who are more direct. They're competitive, right? They're decisive. These are the people like, if you come up to them, I'm a driver, right? I'm red personality. I'm red, like red and yellow, right? So when you come up to somebody who's red, right, don't come to me like stuttering. Don't come to me beating around the bush and telling stories and stuff. Like, get to the point, right? What is it? What's the solution, right? I want it fast. So with the driver, you need to understand that you don't beat around the bush with them, right? Next, you have the yellow, which is influence, right? These people are more charming, right? They're more enthusiastic and persuasive. They want to have a long, drawn out conversation. Sometimes they don't even talk about the task on hand, right? But they want it to be fun, right? They want you to make it fun for them. So sometimes you got to joke around with them. You have to be able to, talk about things that are off topic, but you have to remember that you need to get it back on topic, right? And there's skillful ways to get them back on topic, right? So that's the yellow one. Next, you have green, which is known for like steadiness, right? So steady. So these people they understand, right? They want to move slow, right? They're team players, and they really want to understand everything before they move forward, right? So if you skip steps in the process with these people, you're gonna lose rapport, right? You're gonna lose rapport. So you got to move slow with them, right? They have to understand every part. You maybe have to explain things in detail with them, but they want to understand everything, right? And then the last one you have C, which is conscientious or analytical, right? So they're the blue ones who they're very number driven, right? They're number driven. They're very precise, right? Everything is numbers and facts with them and logic with them, right? So if you're not communicating that to them with logic and numbers and facts, you're going to break rapport, right? So it's for everything with all of these situations. We were kind of talking about this last night, right? All these personality types. If you don't understand who you're talking to and you talk to them the wrong way, you're pretty much, no matter if you don't see it as disrespectful, you may be disrespecting them, right? So like a driver type person, a red personality type. If you get on the phone with them and you're like, hey, you know, you spoke with somebody on my team, and my name is Daryll, by the way, and I'm calling you about this property that I think you own on Main Street. You're disrespecting that person, right? You're wasting their time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna hang up on you, right? Um, so it's super important to understand the type of person you're speaking to, what their personality type is, and it's super important to understand how to do that fast. And this is much more than sales. This is life in general, how to communicate with people in general, right? This will
Mm-hmm.
help your family life, understanding personality types.
Yeah, so this is like when you're talking to people and trying to maneuver, even just through life, you want to
Yeah,
know the type of person that you're talking to, analytical, steady or influence, dominance. Like you want to know the type of person you're talking to, because if I'm talking to Daryl and I know he's a dominant person, I'm able to get my message across better, and I'm able to get my way if I speak to him in a dominant type personality,
bro. For
right?
instance, right, like Nick on my team, and
Yeah.
let's talk with your team, right? I'm sure you can tell Felipe, right? Yo, that shit sucks, and he's
Hmm.
not really gonna trip. Like I could do that with Nick, I could do that with Andrew. I could say, yo, that call sucked, right? But Karen on your team or like Edith on my team, you say that to them, they're gonna respond a completely different way,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna be like, I don't know if I'm feeling this guy, right? They're gonna feel some type of way. The
Hmm.
best communicators, they understand who they're talking to, and they're able to adapt their personality to that person or their communication skills to that how that person sees, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir. So I love it. That's how you communicate, right? That's how you get your way, figuring out these people's personality types and talking to them the way they should be talked to, right? Now it's even more important, in my opinion, to analyze yourself and understand who you are. Which four of these is most dominant in your life, right? And this is when going and getting your first deal. If you figure out which one of these you are, is going to help you get that first deal faster, because then you're gonna have an action plan driven towards the right personality type for you. So for a perfect example, like if you are a dominant and influence type person, most likely you like talking to people and you're a negotiator, you're a dominance, you're a driver, right? Like you get things done. That is somebody who wants to talk to sellers, right? So that is somebody who should probably go out and do the things that me and Daryl did to get our first deal. Just get on the phone and talk to sellers, right? Now, maybe you're down here, maybe you're an analytical type of person and you're like, yo, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to I want to make it make sense. I want to look at the numbers and make everything make sense. And I want to see that I put this money into it and this amount of leads gets generated and all that, right? That type of person is going to take a little bit different type of action step than the driver. They're going to want to maybe be the one that's super honed in on generating leads rather than super honed in on getting good at sales. And maybe they generate leads for somebody that's getting good at sales.
Also, if
So
you are that analytical person, that steady person, um, it's important to not like analytical people. I don't want you guys because we all have some of this in it. We all have each personality type in us, right? But you just have certain ones that show more, right? So if
mhm,
you're more analytical than you are anything else, more than likely you're not taking action, right? And you're trying to make sure everything is perfect before you take action, right? It's important to suppress that side of the analytical in you, right? Because it's not gonna be perfect, right? So 1,000%, Mike. It's important to know who you are, and what you're more than likely to do, right?
100%. So once you figure out your personality type, you're like, okay, I get it. I'm the type of person that should probably be going out talking to sellers and negotiating, right? Then you got to figure out two things. You got to figure out what you have for time and what you have for money. So these are very simple. We don't have to write down a bunch of things for these. This is like, do you have all the time in the world but no money? Or do you have some money but not that much time? Or are you one of the people that have both? Maybe you're one of the people that have both. Me, in the beginning, I kind of had both, which is a fortunate situation to be in. But maybe you don't have the money to spend too much on virtual assistants and leads and stuff like that and systems, and you got to dedicate all your time to just talking to sellers. Or maybe you have absolutely no time and you have a 9-to-5 job, but you have some money saved up, so you start hiring everything out and you dump a little bit more money in replace for your time.
And we all have time. I don't want people to use that as an excuse. Yeah, I have a 9-to-5. I don't have time. You have time. Wake up earlier. Go to sleep later. All right. You have time. If you really want to make this happen, you're going to find time. Everybody has the same 24 hours, right? So choose what you do.
Daryll was going to the bathroom and talking to his leads.
Exactly.
He found
that's the biggest, bro. That's the biggest excuse I hear, bro. I don't have time. And honestly, it pisses me off, bro. Excuse my language, but it pisses me off because everybody has time, bro. If you don't think you have time, wake up at 3 a.m. and make time. You know how long my days feel, bro? Now that I'm waking up at 3:50, 3:45 every day. Like, I can literally do so much throughout the day, right? Use your time wisely. You don't have a time problem. You have a time management problem.
That is a fact. So here's the thing, right? Like for Daryll in the beginning, he didn't have too much time, and he didn't have too much money, but he made this shit happen. Daryl's a freaking hustler. But Daryll even said in the beginning, hey, if I was to go back in my 9-to-5, what I would probably do is put as much time as possible into it, but be a little bit smarter about it and send the leads to a closer.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
For sure.
So with this being said, now you got to figure out, since you have an idea of, okay, I have this type of personality, I have this much time on my hands, and I have this much money on my hands, you got to figure out what strategy to go with. So let's talk about some strategies. How do you want to go about this? Do you want to go about like the 3 main strategies and then how to generate leads through those strategies? Does that make sense?
Let's do it.
Okay, so what are the 3 main things that you can do in real estate?
So you're talking like direct to seller and direct to agent and stuff like that? Or are you talking like...
I guess that's how you generate leads, right? But like, what are the main 3 things that you could do?
Like cold call, text.
More so like...
What do you mean?
More like exit strategies.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down, bro. You might gotta write it down, dog.
So you have a contract, right?
Okay.
There's 3 things that you could do with this contract. What are the 3 things?
Got it. You can wholesale it. You can flip it. Or you can keep it as a rental.
So would it be fair to say you should probably pick one of these things before you start generating leads?
1,000%.
Okay, since this is Wholesale Hardknocks, let's just keep this to wholesale. So now that we're at wholesale, we know that you want to wholesale. Now you got to figure out, okay, there's leads that you need in the till in order to get some deals done. So what are some ways to generate leads?
So you can go direct to seller. I'd say let's break it down direct to seller. And there's plenty of different ways from direct to seller, right? You can cold call. You can send text. You can do direct mail. PPC. If you guys don't know what PPC is, that is pay per click. So if you Google right now, sell my house fast, sell my house cash, those are not buyers. Those are not cash buyers. Those are wholesalers, right? Those are people who are wholesaling. People do it on Facebook. You can do it on Google. You pay for people to click on your website, right? So you got cold call, text message, direct mail, pay-per-click. You got ringless voicemails. What else we got? What am I missing? Door knocking, driving for deals. What else?
Essentially, all these are just going direct.
Bandit signs. Yeah, I missed that one.
Like literally, you're just going directly, somehow, some freaking way, you are getting in front of the seller and asking them if they would sell their house.
Yep.
That's what this is.
Which is super important, right? Like I'm actually getting back into my direct to seller model. And Mike, we'll talk about that offline. I was talking to Sam Singh last night, and he planted a bunch of seeds. But about to start my direct to seller model again. And I'm extremely transparent, right? Things have been pretty slow for us, right? We've been getting a lot of deals under contract, but they've just keep getting pushed out, right? For whatever reason, there's a lot of creative deals. Creative deals most times take longer to close than cash, right? Mm-hmm. So direct to seller, you'll get a lot more cash deals, and it's gonna pay your pretty much pay for your marketing, right? Like that's your bread and butter. That direct to seller, should be your bread and butter. David, billboard works, radio works. The thing with this, everything works as long as you're consistent, right?
That's
now,
yes,
right. So this part of the leads, this is where you need to ask yourself, how much money do I have, right? How much money do I have to invest? Because whatever you do, you need to make sure you have enough reserves for at least 6 months to cover that without getting a deal. Mm-hmm. At least 6 months to cover all your systems, everything to generate leads without getting a deal, right? So all of these works, they're just some are a little bit more expensive than others, right? PPC, billboard, radio, those are really expensive. Door knocking, driving for deals, those are free, right? Cold calling, text, direct mail. Direct mail is a little bit more expensive, but cold calling and text, they cost some money, right? So it's super important to understand, like we just talked about, where you're at. How much time do you have? How much money do you have? Right now, like if you're going to spend all this money for people to reach out to you, right, then you need to have a system in place to where you better be ready to answer those calls when they come in, right? Because you're spending a lot of money for those leads. So if you're not answering the calls, you're just wasting money, right? So you need to make sure you're at a position to where you can even handle inbound leads. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, like, I think what we should do is we should go over both of the ways that me and you generate leads and just go over it pretty in depth so that people have an understanding of where they should take action in those two types of lead generation sources that fits their personality.
Let's do it.
If that's what they want to do, right? So if they're direct to seller and they have some money, maybe not the most time or even experience, you could go down this road, PPC, you could go down this road, direct mail. I was talking to a kid yesterday and he's like, dude, I have like $20,000. I'm about to quit this business, but something's screaming at me to go to PPC. And I'm like, okay, well, if you go down the PPC route and you start generating leads and you're not that good at talking to sellers, like you're probably just going to waste the $20,000. He's like, yeah, but I would love to just generate the leads and send them over to somebody like yourself to get them done. I'm like, dude, that's a freaking great idea.
Hell yeah.
Like,
that's what I need in my life.
Literally. I'm like, that's actually not because I want your leads. I mean, I do, but that's a great idea for you. Like, dude, your personality type actually fits that a lot. Like,
yeah,
you're just like, he's the type of kid that, he's a money guy. Like, he likes to see money go out, money come back. He's an investor type of like mindset. Like I have a homie who's the same exact thing. He does really, really well. He's a personable guy, right? Like he can go out and talk to people and do all that stuff. It just doesn't get him super excited. So we actually tried to start a wholesale business together He's like, screw this, dude. I don't want to talk to sellers. This business stinks. It's not for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But he crushes it right now. He's not an integrator. He's more of like a visionary, but he's more like a passive visionary. And what he does, bro, is he just is really good with his money. Like a really good play for him would be to hire somebody to do PPC for him generate leads, and him send those leads and build a relationship with a closer and get them things done, and everybody gets paid. Like that would be a great idea for him. But what does he have? He has a lot of money to spend. And it would be a good move. So if you have a lot of money to spend, what you got to do is you just got to put the right team in place for something like this and this.
Yep.
Shit,
and that's what I would say is super important, right? Because like with PPC, you need to be on the phone with these people within 60 seconds of that lead hitting your system, right? Or else what are they gonna do? When they Google how to sell my house fast, they're not just filling out your website; they're filling out the one that comes after yours, the next one. They're probably filling out 4 or 5 of them. Whoever gets on the phone with them first wins, pretty much. Because these people are hot; they're motivated.
Right.
You should be closing them on one call.
Exactly. So you just got to make sure that if you're going to go down this road, that you already have a team in place like me and Daryll have, and you already know what you're doing, or you already have connections with people that know what they're doing. Or else you're just going to end up wasting a bunch of money like I did in the beginning. I generated a lead, and I wish I had somebody like Daryll that I could have. It was a PPC lead that I generated. I wish I had somebody like Daryll that could have hopped on the phone with the seller and locked it up for me, and we all would have made money. And it would have been great. Imagine if that happened, right? Like I would have just kept hammering PPC and everybody would have been making money. But I generated the lead, spent the money, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing, so I wasted the money, right? So if you're going to go down something like direct mail or PPC or radio or something like that, just make sure that you already either know what you're doing and you have a team in place already, or you have connections with closers and dispo people and stuff like that to get deals done. But it's not a bad route to go down if you have a lot of money. If you have a lot of money that you don't mind not seeing for a little bit. So that's the route I would tell somebody to go if they have a lot of money. And they're like, yo, I just want to get deals done. Like I got, 20, 30, 40 grand just saved up that I'm willing to just throw into a business and see what happens. I would tell them to probably go make connections with people that already have teams in place and go generate some PPC and direct mail leads and just get deals done and understand how to do this business. And then maybe just start doing it on your own. Now, if maybe you're in the middle, you have a couple bucks you don't mind spending. Maybe you have like 10 to 15,000 bucks. So you're like, hey, I wouldn't mind not seeing this 10 to 15 to maybe 20 grand in the next 6 months, like Daryll said, then I would go down this route.
I love it, bro.
What
cold calling, texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go down cold calling and texting. And depending on where you're at financially, I would either just get all the systems in place and start cold calling and texting yourself. Or if you have somewhere above like 10,000 bucks, I would just get a virtual assistant. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't be like, hey, I have like 5 grand that I'd like to spend on a cold caller and texter and stuff, and I got to still get data and softwares and everything. Let me spend money on that and start generating leads. And once the 5 grand's done, like I'm done, I wouldn't do that. I would just tell you to probably go cold call and text like Daryll did, because you're going to end up spending the 5 grand and then you're going to be like, all right, screw this, I'm done. Or I would tell you to go freaking make more money in another business or something like that, or you save up more money, stop freaking going out to dinner or something, right?
Yep.
and save the money. Because for me, what I know what fits my personality type, I could never do this on my own. Like I really couldn't. I would quit like the first 3 days. It's just my personality. I would be like, yeah, I'm not cold calling and texting. It is what it is. So what I would do is I would go out and hustle and try to make money in other ways to save up enough money to get a virtual assistant, and then have her start generating me leads, and I'll talk to the people that raise their hand and said that they want to sell the property. Right? What are your thoughts on that?
No, for sure. Me going back and starting all over, I think I would get some money and get a VA first to cold call. because you can do a lot more, right? A virtual assistant, they're going to call for you 8 hours a day. They're going to go hard, right? I was only putting in 3 hours a day, right? But I honestly, I probably wouldn't change anything, bro. Like
Yeah,
going back, I wouldn't change anything.
me either. Like at the end of the day, you don't want to change anything
Yeah,
because you've grown so much in that.
exactly.
Like I don't like saying that. Hey, I would go back and I would change this, that, and the other because
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything, but
yeah,
I do recommend if you don't have, if you're in a position to where you don't have the money, right, and you need to cold call and text yourself, just know that it's all part of the game. If you don't get a deal in the next 2 3 months, right, you need to
exactly.
build up a
Yeah.
pipeline.
So really, with all this stuff, no matter what it is, bro, you have to stomach not making money and not gaining too much traction for the first
Yep.
like couple months. Like
You
you
gotta
have,
know it's part of the game, bro. And
if you don't do that, then you're just gonna quit.
yeah,
Like 100%. You have to be okay with stomaching not making any money, not generating any leads or whatever. You have to stomach like not getting shit done for the first few months because real estate is a slower game. It's not like I owned a junk removal business before where we picked up people's junk and brought it to the dump, right? Literally we would get a lead and we would go do that job that day.
exactly,
That's very quick. Real estate is not like that. You generate a lead today and that thing doesn't close for 5 months.
exactly.
It's a slower game and you have to be okay with that. So with what Daryl's saying is like definitely whatever you do, be okay with not making money for the first like 3 4 months. With that being said, you could get lucky. Who knows? You can start cold calling and texting today and get a deal. Like that very well could happen. And if that happens, great, right? Some
If it
people
happens,
that
what
actually
happened
shoot
with
them in
me,
the foot.
right? What happened with me, and I got mine. I got my first couple deals really fast. Was I didn't appreciate that grind. I didn't understand that this is a grind, right? So what happened was I didn't get another deal for like 5 6 months. I'm like, yo, this shit is sweet. This is easy. I could do this in my sleep, right? And I I took it for granted, right? I didn't work as hard, and I didn't I didn't elevate, right? I stayed in the same spot when I closed my first couple deals because I thought all I got to do was cold call, send a couple texts, and I'll make $20,000. That's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's what you call my one of my old coaches used to call it fool's gold, right? That's when you look like you did something good, right? But really, it just happened, right? Like you didn't follow the correct steps, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You made the play, right? But you didn't do it how you were taught,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's fool's gold, right? So yeah, so just be prepared and have that mindset to where like you're gonna close a deal. You already did. You're just waiting on time to catch up, right? So you need to be able to build a pipeline. You need to build a bunch of stuff. Um, Aber Aberrant Ant asked. It's the second time you asked about this, bro. So I wanted to talk about it. Have you been sued for cold calling, text blasting? I just heard from someone in the group chat that got hit using call tools. Let me ask a question, bro. If you get sued if somebody sues your wholesale business, like, are they gonna win a lot of money, or are they just gonna spend money in litigations? Like, what will happen with that?
Should I share my screen on my other thing and show you guys the email that I got?
Yeah, let's do it. While you're doing that, I'll tell you the easy answer, bro. Ignore that shit.
Actually, yeah, I'm not even going to do that. I'll just say what happened to me literally twice. This is about a year ago. I got an email and I shit my pants. It was a demand letter that said, "Hey, you have to pay me." I think it was like $11,000 because your team contacted me, like 3 times over the past month or something, and I told them not to, and I'm on the do not call list, right? So at the time, I'm shitting my pants. I'm like, "Yo, what the heck? I'm gonna get sued. I haven't even really made money yet. Like, this, what am I doing?" Right? I just ignored it. Actually, you know what? At first, I was heated. I'm like, "Yo, who is this dude? Like, why did he just hang up the phone, bro? Like, why has he got the time to send me a whole long email talking about he's gonna come some sue me, right?" Um, Here's what I do. I look online and I literally like copied and pasted a lot of the things that he was saying. Come to find out, literally people do this for a living. People will sit there and wait on their phone, right? they'll sit there and wait for calls to come in, like sales calls, and they'll get on the phone with the salesperson and they will ask all the information about the business. Hey, where are you guys located? What's the business name? How much deals do you guys do? Like all the things about the business. That's what that particular conversation was. I
They act
remember
interested too. They act like they're interested in
they
doing
act
it.
like they're interested, right? And that's what, and they get all the information, and that's what the conversation was when I went back and listened to my virtual assistant. My virtual assistant gave them all the sauce, right? So this is literally what people do to make money. They will answer these calls, they'll get all that information, and then they already have a pre-written demand letter. And maybe they get like freaking 5 sales calls a day, and they send it out to all those companies, and they just hope and pray that this some big company.
All they need is one.
Yeah, all they need is one, right? They need one a freaking month, and they're making over $100,000 a year, right? Like, so they just do this. This is their job, which is freaking bananas to me.
I learned that they actually have courses on that teaches people how to do this.
That's what I learned, bro. When I looked it up, like I'm literally looking word for word these demand letters, like from a course, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This is crazy. So literally a year later, like this like just happened not too long ago, probably a couple months ago. Same freaking guy writes the same exact email essentially, but this time he goes on all of my social medias and legit like screenshots my freaking face, bro. And I'm like,
That's crazy.
Dog, this like I remember your name, bro. This is like a year ago. Ain't nothing happened. Knock on wood. Right. But at the end of the day, what Daryl's saying is just like, bro, don't worry about that shit.
Just ignore it, bro. You gotta think like you're calling with the phone number that you bought. Right? Like how could anything happen? Like they're not gonna do anything. Nothing's gonna happen, bro. Just ignore it.
That's another thing. At the end of the day, what am I doing wrong? Like,
right.
It's not like a robocall or something like that. Like literally my team, like actual human beings are calling you.
And on top of that, I'm not selling you nothing. I'm looking to buy something.
Word. I'm not soliciting at all. I actually want to buy something from you. I'm looking for you to solicit me.
Right.
Pause.
Yeah. All right, cool. So what's the next one, bro?
So before we do that, right? I think right here, if you have some money, like 10 to 15,000 bucks, definitely go down this road, or go save some money, hire a virtual assistant, and start making them generate you leads. Or if you're in the maybe 5,000 range, just get the systems and start doing this stuff yourself, right? And be okay with not making any money for the first 5 months. Now, if you absolutely have no freaking money whatsoever, like you're dead broke and you have no desire to go get a job or whatever, like you're just like, yo, I'm about to be on the streets, I would go down this road. I would go door knock, I would go drive for dollars, and I would just hustle until I got something done, because you really don't need much money to do this. You need some gas money, right? And sometimes you don't even need that if you're just going to door knock. Just freaking go walk outside your door and go knock on people's doors. But that's what I would do. But I would do it consistently for 90 days until you start gaining some traction. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, then now this works. Now, with this being said, there's 2 ways. Like there's two parts of this, right? There's a visionary part, and then there's an integrator part. So, Daryl, what would you say? Can you give your definition of a visionary?
A visionary is pretty much the person that everybody knows, right? Everybody sees this person that I would say the face of the company, right? They come up with the big ideas, they have the big relationships, right? The big partnerships, they raise the money, right? It's the person that people see in the forefront. They're in the limelight, right?
For this one, I would say, like when it comes to director seller, I would say the visionary is the one talking.
The closer.
Yeah. They're the closer. They're talking to people. Right? The integrator is the one that's, they're the ones doing all the all the
Everything
data,
else.
right? They're doing the data and the analytics and the KPIs. Now, think about this, bro. If you're an integrator, you can do all these. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. If
And
you're visionary too, you can do all of them.
yeah, you can get leads in the pipeline. Just get really good at, managing a virtual assistant or managing direct mail or PPC or something like that and send them over to a closer or even partner up like legitimately with a closer to get the deals done.
Yeah.
If you're a visionary in the beginning, it's really, really not that hard to set up these systems to cold call and text or to go get a batch driven account or to just hire out somebody to do all this. Like you can do that yourself,
Right.
you know? But if you're the integrator, if you're the type that's like, yo, I'm never talking to people. Like I just like sitting behind a desk with my headset, you know what I mean? And my freaking, not even my headset, my freaking headphones and doing analytics, right? Like if that's the case, then just figure out a way how to manage the leads and get leads in the pipeline and send them over to a closer. This is direct to seller. So, what I would say for here, right? I would say this is between 5,000 and I would say 15K. 15, maybe even 20K is what you're going to want if you're going to go out cold call and text. Direct mail, I would say you're going to want 20K plus. This is essentially free. Now, depending on where you're at for here, for cold calling and texting, that's, you're either going to have to do it yourself or you're going to hire, if you're more like in this area, 15 to 20, then you can go hire a virtual assistant to get it done for you. And either way, you have to pick and choose what you're going to do in these lead generations. Are you the one talking to the sellers? Then yeah, you're the visionary. Then go talk to the sellers and get deals done. Or are you the integrator? Just go manage the team, get the deals done, and send them over to a visionary. What's the second one, bro? I gotta plug my computer.
Come on, bro. We have the legend, Mr. Don Rich in here, bro. What's up, Don?
Dang, bro.
What's up, big bro? So we're going through just how to get your first deal, right? How to get your first deal. Mike just went through visionary, integrator, right? We just went through all the direct to seller models, and how if you want to choose direct to seller, how to go direct to seller, right? Me personally, we do a lot of JV, right? So I would say that's one of the next ones that we can talk about. And I don't know, Mike, we may need to do a part two to this, bro, because there's so many different ways, right? So JV, right? Most people think there's only one way to JV, right? And that's somebody has the contract, somebody else has the has the buyer, right? You squad up 50-50. But bro, if you can get creative, there's so many different ways that you can JV with people, right? JV also know like partnering, like whatever, right? So like what I did at first when I was at a point where I didn't have any money, right? But I wanted direct to seller leads still, right? All I did was able to connect with people, right? So I found somebody who we had a conversation. Come to find out, she has a dialer that she does not use. She probably was using it an hour a day, right? I'm like, oh wow. So if I brought somebody to make calls on your dialer and we got some deals out of it, would you want to spot up, right? Cool, let's do it. So I found somebody easily who was hand dialing every single day. Asked him, yo, do you want access to a dialer? Cool, put him on a dialer. Found somebody else who had lists, but they had no dialer. They weren't making the calls. I'm like, okay, cool. If I take your list, put it in my dialer, you want to squad up on this list? Nice, right? Now I just built the whole direct to seller operation without any of my money or without any of my time into it, right? So I had somebody cold calling for me. I'm not paying for the dialer. I'm not paying for the list. I'm not paying for nothing, right? So that's direct to seller, but you can also JV with people that way, right? So you have contract JV, right, where You can do dispo, right? You can be a straight dispo house, where you just have people know you as a buyer or a dispo wholesaler, right? Where you connect with other wholesalers, you connect with agents, you connect with buyers all day. People bring you contracts, you sell those contracts, right? You get 50%. I would say if you had absolutely no money, but you have time, I would say do this. I would say do that. That's 50% of a deal. And a lot of times when people bring you contracts, there's a 2 weeks, 3 weeks to closing, right? You're not spending a lot of time. You're spending your time building connections with buyers, right? And with actual credible buyers, right? So you got to understand how to talk to buyers. You got to understand what they want, what they're looking for, right? And then go find it. How much did you just spend to get a deal? Right? That's free money, right? You didn't do anything. You spent your time. You spent having conversations, right? So I would look at doing dispo, right? Um, or you can do what I do as well, where I have people send me leads on a regular basis whether they're dead leads or whether we were talking about earlier, like somebody who is an integrator and they don't have time to make the calls, right? Well, guess what? My team does, right? Send me the leads, we'll lock them up, we'll even do the dispo for you, right? We squad up on that, right? So that's another way you can JV.
So
Well,
here's really what JV is. My perspective of JV in the beginning, I think we spoke about this last week, was, hey, bro, let me contact some people on Facebook and ask if they want a JV.
yeah,
Right? That's really not helping anybody. Okay, so this is a little piece. This is a pizza that I just made. Like, it looks amazing, right? So think about this. This pizza right here is somebody's business. This is someone trying wholesale, because we're talking about a wholesale strategy here, right? This is somebody trying to wholesale, right? They have all these things in place. Maybe they have like with Daryl's story, they have a dialer, and maybe they have a virtual assistant already. Maybe they have the money to spend. They have the data, right? They got a couple things, right? They're starting to get some things done, but they're just missing something. So what JV really is looking at this pizza or this whole pizza right here, realizing that there's a missing slice and providing that slice and plugging it in. So essentially, like what Daryl does, Daryl sees holes in people's businesses. He sees missing slices in people's pizza, and he goes and plugs that in. So, like, for example, Daryl knows a lot of integrators who, they're generating leads. They have the money, they have the systems, they have the VAs, they have all that and the other. They just don't have a closer. So Daryl comes in and he brings this slice and makes this pizza whole. And now
everybody eats B.
everybody eats, B. You can't eat the pizza until it's full, bro.
Right.
And essentially, this is what JV is. In my opinion of JV before this was, dude, just talk to people who don't have a full pizza and tell them that you're hungry.
For sure, bro.
Okay, great, but I need another slice before we can all eat, right? So bring the slice. That's essentially what JV is. So what do you have to do this? You have to go find people with these pizzas that need slices added to the pizza. So what does that require? You going out and networking and all that stuff and figuring out where people need help in their business and bringing that help to their business. Does that sum it up?
It's about being a connector, bro. Like,
Yeah,
you just need to be a connector, right?
that's
Like,
it.
there's so many different ways. You just need to be able to, like you said, bro, bringing that slice of the pizza, bringing that extra piece of the puzzle, right?
Mhm.
To where everybody eats, just like you said, right? Like, Ant, he asked a question and Don answered it for him, but he said, "Can you do an episode on how to protect both parties when doing a JV deal? Big picture steps or methods to go over when setting up a JV deal." bro, it's literally whatever you agree to with this person. You can JV with somebody however you want, right? But as long as you have that paperwork in place, just stating whatever you guys agree to, make sure it's there, right? Make sure you have the paperwork in place. Make sure everybody's on the same page. One thing I learned about paperwork, you can literally write in whatever you want, however you want it, right? Like the way that I write up contracts is if me and the seller talk about it a certain way. If I say that, hey, I'm going to give you a down payment and monthly payments of $300 a month for 12 years, that's exactly how I'm going to write it in the contract, right? So like same with JV, right? If you agree that you're going to be doing 50-50 with somebody for every lead that they send in or whatever you agree to, right? Mine is if you send in a lead, you get, if you send it, I break everything down into 4 pieces, right? So lead generation, acquisitions, dispositions, transaction coordinator. If you send in a lead over and we do everything else, you want us to be the one-stop shop, that's cool. We're able to handle that. Then we'll take a 75-25 split, right? If you do dispo, if you find a buyer, then we do 50-50. I'm going to always do the transaction coordinating and acquisitions, and I'm upfront with that, right? Before somebody even submits a lead, they need to agree to those terms before they submit a lead, or else you don't send it, right? So make sure everything's in place, make sure the paperwork's right, and you guys are on the same page.
Love it, bro.
But what we're gonna have to do, so like I have a hard stop. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make this a part 2 because we started diving a little deep. See, we had some people feeling it in the chat too, so we'll have to do a part 2, guys. Make sure if you guys are not already subscribed to me and Mike's channels, make sure you hit that link below. It's on this side. Hit that red button, right, and like this video. Make sure you like the video. And you tune in every Saturday, right? We're here at 12 Eastern time, 9 a.m. Arizona time. Make sure you guys tune in. Next week we're gonna continue to go. As you guys know, we have special guests come in at times that come in and just drop game, right? So we're gonna do a part 2 on this. Not sure if we're gonna do it next week or if we're gonna bring in a special guest next week, but make sure you guys are subscribing to both channels, liking these videos, and tuning in every single Saturday for Wholesale Hardknocks. Yo, Mike, you got anything, bro?
Nah, dog. I appreciate everybody. That's it. I'm just so grateful as I started this live today. What I was saying, God is great. That's it.
All the time, brother.
All I gotta say, Daryll, is they didn't believe in us.
What do you say?
They didn't believe in us.
Facts.
But God did.
Yes, sir.
You're not hip to the DJ Khaled stuff?
I am.
That's my guy, bro.
I love it, bro. We'll catch y'all next Saturday, man. Mike, I appreciate you. Everybody who tuned in with us, I appreciate y'all. We out of here.